What's up, guys? It's Brandon Flash. Today we're here with my Rivian R1T. We're at the Circle K in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and we're going to be doing some efficiency testing today, comparing 80 miles an hour, 70 miles per hour, and 60 miles per hour, and seeing how that impacts the efficiency and how that translates into your range. So as I mentioned, we're here with my Rivian R1T. This is a month-old-ish vehicle, about 4,700 miles. Rivian Blue Ocean Coast 20-inch all-terrain tires. I set the tire pressures to 48 PSI, which is the factory recommended tire pressure this morning when they were cold. And we're going to be running these at 80 miles per hour constant, 70 miles per hour constant, and 60 miles per hour constant, and then comparing the results over about a 63-mile loop or so. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Brandon Flash. This is my personal Rivian R1T. I've had it for about a month. Took delivery in Minnesota, drove it out to Colorado. Now I'm back in North Carolina, and we're doing some testing. And if you haven't, I'd welcome you to subscribe. Like I said, we're going to be testing the efficiency. We're going to be plugging in on a DC fast charger here. We're at about 60%, but I actually just DC fast charge somewhere else as well, so the battery should be nice and warm. We're going to be running it until it completes at 70% state of charge, and we're going to be doing that for each one of these loops. We're going to be starting and ending here in Rock Hill, South Carolina at the Circle K. We'll be heading south on I-77 towards Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm gonna run in, grab a snack, use the restroom, we'll get plugged in. Should be a pretty quick 60 to 70% top off. And then we're gonna hit the road. We're gonna be starting with the 80 mile per hour run, then the 70 mile per hour run, then the 60 mile per hour run. And I'll fill you in on the details between each one, and we'll also wrap it up at the end for you. Well, I just started charging on the app, so gonna get plugged in here. Just like that. And as you can see, we're already in conserve mode. We've got it lowered down to the low suspension height. As I mentioned, tire pressures are set, and I took the crossbars off just for maximum aerodynamics. Not that it really matters as long as it's consistent, but I wanted to have a very comparable result for people. Otherwise, vehicle is stock. Tires are in pretty good shape. Like I said, about 5,000 miles on the vehicle, so essentially new. No mud flaps, nothing like that. No front plate, so about as optimal as you can get for aerodynamics as far as comparable results. I did join the Apple Watch Ultra gang, so if anyone has a recommendation of an Apple Watch band that matches Rivian Blue, let me know. Let's see how charging's going here. And just like that, 174 kilowatt, because this is a 400 amp unit, and given the high battery pack voltage, we're getting really good speeds there. And because the battery's nice and cool, or coolish, I guess, compared to what it would be if you had started lower. So we're here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We're heading all the way down there, and it's about 34 miles each way. It's relatively easy on and off the interstate here, if it wants to zoom there. So we'll simply turn out and then hop on the interstate, and then when we come back, it's just right back there. So nice and easy. I'll be taking it easy on the little bit of city driving, and then once we get onto the interstate, it's just going to be constant speed until we turn around. I'll update you there, and then we'll come right back and go over the results. I'm going to clear my trip here already, but I'll also clear that right before we go there. And you can also see the odometer before we get started. I've got some snacks, and we're just going to let it complete at 70%, and then we'll get on the road. And we just finished charging here at 70%. So I'm gonna kill the climate here. And let's get unplugged here, and then we'll hit the road. I've already set the ride height to conserve low. We'll reset the trip here, and then we're gonna be running in the climate at 70 degrees auto, and no seat conditioning or anything like that. But let's get unplugged. We added 17.2 kilowatt hour, not bad. All right, and now hopped in the vehicle. Let's reset this. We're turning climate back on now that we're ready to go. We got our nav up there. And I'll see you on the interstate here in just one moment. And so you can see what it's like to get onto the interstate from here. There's the Circle K we just turned out. We're waiting for this left light here. And then it's just a matter of taking another left to hop on I-77 South. Pretty nice and simple, about as good as I could get in this area. Usually this light is not too terribly long, but we'll see here in just a minute. I'll show you guys the whole light progression. What do you guys think of the blinker noise on the R1T? I think it's not bad. I don't know if I love it, but I certainly don't hate it like I do in some vehicles. It doesn't sound like the speaker is popping like in the Polestar. That was pretty obnoxious. And like I mentioned, we're starting with 80 miles per hour as our first test. So we're going to be accelerating reasonably to get up to 80 miles per hour at the end of the ramp. And on my way here, I actually GPS verified that 81 miles per hour is 80 miles per hour actual. So we'll be running it at 81 on the instrument cluster. And we're headed towards Columbia. And of course I hit this light. Can only control so much when you're in the real world. Hopefully the light doesn't take too long here. I'm curious, you guys, comment down below, what kind of efficiency tests or other tests do you guys want to see on the Rivian? Thinking probably comparing all-purpose in both low and standard height, and then conserve in standard and low height to see if it actually makes that big of a difference. Maybe even throwing in conserve on very low to see if the harsh ride is worth the efficiency gain, maybe. Also thinking with the crossbars, putting them on the roof and on the bed just to see. So we're accelerating here, and I'm going to get up to 80 by the time we get to the end of this ramp here. Just accelerating pretty reasonably. And in conserve mode, the Rivian runs in front wheel drive. Going to try to avoid any aerodynamic gain here, so let's lock it into driver plus here. Doesn't like you doing it when your hands aren't on the wheel, so I'll do that and then I'll check in with you guys in just a bit. Well, I'm not sure how much I left in the video here, but we're actually starting over. I'm back at the Rock Hill Circle K charger here, just about to plug in. We're at 59%. The traffic patterns on I-77 were just not conducive to staying at 80 miles per hour constant. So we're gonna flip this around and start with 60 as the starting run, and then do 70, and then hopefully traffic dies down a little bit and we can do the 80 mile per hour run. Apparently doing this middle of the afternoon on a Sunday is maybe not the best idea, so I'll have to rethink that for in the future. So let's get plugged in, we'll charge back up to 70%, and then we're gonna do the 60 mile per hour run and camp out in the rightmost lane, and then everyone can pass me, and that should be doable. While we're charging back up here, I did want to share my predictions for the runs. So I think at 60 miles per hour, we're most likely going to get around 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. I think at 70 miles per hour, probably 2.15, I'd say. And then I think at 80 miles per hour, about 1.95, maybe even 2 miles per kilowatt hour. But one way to find out, we'll see here. So 10 minutes to charge back up, and then we're gonna get back on the road. Just about to charge or finish charging here at 70%. Let's see how far or how long it's been charging for. It's been reasonably quick. 12 minutes, okay, for 17.7 kilowatt hour. And I've got my nav set for the Loves at the turnaround destination. Charging just completed there, 210 miles displayed. So we'll get unplugged here in just 1 second. I'm gonna kill the AC. So we'll reset that again. And let's get unplugged and we'll hit the road. AC is back on. We're set again to 70 auto. Trip is reset there. We're hitting the road, headed out of the Circle K parking lot, and we should hopefully hit less lights this time. Let's see here. Traffic coming there. We're still in conserve mode on low suspension. Let's see how we can time this light here, taking it pretty reasonably as I approach the intersection here to get on the interstate. So we take a left here, and then we take another left to get on the interstate I-77 south, and I'll see you there where we're gonna lock it in at 61 miles per hour indicated, 60 actual. And then we're doing a 34-mile loop each way. Made it onto the interstate here. We're locked in at 61, which is 60 GPS indicated, and just getting going here. I'll update you when we get to the halfway turnaround point, which is where I have my nav set to. And then on the way back, we're not setting it to a fast charger or anything, so it won't be preconditioning the battery. We'll just be using nav for my planning purposes, and so I don't miss exits, as I have a tendency to do. As we're underway here, I did want to mention that this route is relatively flat. It's about 650 feet to 350 foot elevation along the route, but of course doing the loop style test does cancel that out a bit. Relatively low wind today and should be a good test. Yeah, being that we're at roughly sea level, air density is pretty much what you could expect. It's not like we're running at 6,000 feet like in Colorado. So hopefully these test results should be pretty indicative for people all over the place, and if you're at higher elevation, your results may be actually better. But this test is more about comparing between the different speeds in my different tests versus comparing to someone else's test, because it simply won't be able to be exactly comparable. Just took the truck off of Driver Plus there, and we're now exiting at our turnaround point. And we've driven about 33 miles, 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour regen as we're getting off here. And then we're gonna be taking a left and just getting right back on the interstate. It is just a stop sign here, which makes it pretty easy and quick to get back on, as long as there's not too much other traffic, which there usually isn't in the middle of South Carolina here. Didn't touch the brakes once there, all regen. We're clear, that was a full stop, right? Just driving gently here to get back on. And then again, 2.64 miles per kilowatt hour at the halfway point here on the 60 mile per hour run. And we're again just going to be getting right back on here. And again, 60 miles per hour roughly by the end of the interstate here, or 61 indicated. Nice and gentle throttle. We're just going to lock it in here at 61 miles per hour indicated. Just like that. And I'll see you guys back at the Rock Hill Circle K. And then there's those stats again now that we're back on. Also worth noting, as we were exiting the interstate there, we were at 62% state of charge. So we'll pay attention to that on the subsequent tests as well. I suspect it will be a decent bit less. And right now the vehicle predicts that we'll arrive back to the Circle K and Rock Hill at 144 miles of indicated range. Currently we're at 183 miles of indicated range at 61%, but we are going a bit uphill here. So the turnaround point was essentially the lowest spot on the entire route at about 350 feet elevation, and we're going back up to about 650 feet of elevation in Rock Hill. So I would expect a little bit worse elevation on this return trip than on the way out. So I think we'll probably average like 2.55 miles per kilowatt hour, but we'll find out when we arrive back. And just pulling off here, just kicked it off at 61 miles an hour. We're at 52% state of charge, 2.62 miles per kilowatt hour. We'll be pulling into the charging station here in just one moment. And I'll update you guys as far as what the results end up being for the 60 mile an hour run. We'll charge back up, we'll do the 70 mile per hour run, and then hopefully traffic is clearing up enough to do the 80 mile per hour run. It was nice with the 60 mile an hour run because you're going slow enough that essentially everyone is passing you, whereas 80 miles per hour, you have to pass enough people that it becomes a problem because you end up with the clumps of traffic as other people are passing slower people. So I was kind of being the problem that I was complaining about. And like I was saying, it's a very easy on and off to the Circle K here, which is nice, and they have the DC fast charger, also very nice. So we're pulling in here, and then I'll kill climate, take a picture of the results, charge back up. All right, let's kill climate off. And there we have the results. And we'll compare all these at the end as well. So I'm gonna get plugged in here and then start logging some of these results to compare at the end. Really impressed with the efficiency at 60 miles per hour. I think that's the longest I've ever gone 60 miles per hour. Or maybe not ever, but in a very long time that I've gone 60 miles per hour continuously. But we're charging here now and should be getting pretty good speeds. We'll take a look inside the truck. It's ramping up here over 140 kilowatts. Yeah, and we rolled in at 52%. That's worth mentioning as well. And we're getting 170 kilowatts because we're getting the full 400 amps of this ABB Terra 184. So we'll charge back up to 70%, and then we'll do the 70 miles per hour run. We're just about to finish charging here before the 70 mile per hour run. Added 28.8 kilowatt hours, so some of that did go to the battery. Just finished there, so let's kill climate. Let's unplug, and then we'll hop back in. We'll reset the trip, and then we'll get going again. Station says 28.476 kilowatt hour. All right, so we'll go back into the vehicle here, reset the trip, reset. There we go. We'll start climate again here, and we're gonna get on the road here. Get my seatbelt on. And I'll see you on the interstate here when we're at 71 indicated, 70 mile per hour actual. And just like that, we're locked in at 71 mile per hour indicated. Hopefully the traffic stays flowing like this, so that way I can stay at 71 miles per hour, and we're doing the same route again. So I'll see you at the halfway point where I'll give an efficiency update, state of charge update, and then we'll turn around and head back to the charging station. We're just about to exit here for the turnaround point. We've driven 32.8 miles, kicking it off of Driver Plus right now. 2.13 miles per kilowatt hour. We're at 61% state of charge, so actually quite a bit more impact than I expected anyway. I'll have to look back and compare, or you can do that to see how that compares to what we experienced at 60 miles per hour, but I think it was quite a bit better than that. So it should be interesting what the final result is for 70 miles per hour and then for 80 miles per hour. The 60 mile per hour actually exceeded my estimate for efficiency, and this seems to be doing worse than I expected. So there's a car coming here, and then we're good to go. Maintaining moderate acceleration, not to put too much heat loss. Yeah, we're up to 2.18 with that regen to recover some energy as we slow down. And I think the 80 mile per hour should be doable after this, so that's good. Give this truck a little bit of room because they're going to be accelerating slowly. And just like that, I'll see you guys at the Rock Hill Circle K where we're charging back up, and we'll have the final results. Wanted to note here that we're estimating 140 miles of estimated range when we get back to the Circle K. We've driven a couple miles here since the turnaround, and it's 177 miles of estimated range right now. So just an update there. I'll show you this as well. So 2.1 mile per kilowatt hour so far on this run. And just about to exit here, and we're rolling out 50%, 66 miles per hour average, 2.22 miles per kilowatt hour. Slow regen here as we're exiting, and then I'll give you some final stats at the charging station. And we just arrived here, Killing Climate, and let's get a snapshot of that there. So 66.5 miles driven, 2.25 miles per kilowatt hour. We're at 149 miles estimated range at 50% state of charge, and we've used 29.4 kilowatt hours. So I'll have to punch that into my spreadsheet here, and then we'll go over it all at the end. And this next loop here at 80 miles per hour will actually put us over 5,000 miles on the odometer. So pretty fantastic there. And let's get plugged in here. We've got another e-tron, actually a different one. This is a Sportback. So I guess I'll be using the 120 kilowatt 200 amp unit here. So let's get it done. Added about 2 kilowatt hour on the slower unit there, and then the e-tron left, so moved over here. No reason to charge any slower than necessary. Should get full power here. Should actually get full 170, 175, somewhere in there kilowatt once this starts. Give it a moment here. Really a big fan of the higher pack voltage on the Rivian. Really lets you take advantage of higher current or lower current but higher power stations like this one, 180 kilowatt, 400 amps. So 170 kilowatt there. So we'll charge back up to 70%, and then we'll do the 80 mile per hour run. I'll reserve more of my judgment until the very end after we see the 80 mile per hour results, but I must say the 70 mile per hour results were worse than I expected, actually. Really curious to see what the 80 mile per hour results are, and if we even have over 2 kilowatt hour or 2 miles per kilowatt hour, or like 1.8. Really hard to say. I was expecting close to 2.3, 2.4 maybe even for 70 miles an hour. So I don't know. We'll see. Might have to do road tires for my next set of tires, because I think the all-terrains are kind of the determining factor on this. And for the third and final time, actually fourth and final time, we're about to complete charging at 70%. Going to reset this here. We'll reset it again in just a minute, but just in case so I don't forget. There we go. It should be finishing here in just a minute now. Let's see how much energy we added. And then add about 2.2 to that, because we used it on the other unit there before we switched sessions. So just finished there, 210 miles estimated. Let's kill the climate and get unplugged. And then we'll hit the road, hope for the best as far as this 80 miles per hour run goes. There we go, 28.77. Hopefully there's not too much traffic and it's actually doable. Seatbelt on here. Putting a seatbelt on with one hand and a camera in the other is more difficult than you'd think. So reset that there again. Turn the climate back on. Throw it in reverse here. And yet again, we're hitting the road, this time for 80 miles per hour for 65 miles straight. Let's get to it. I'll see you on the interstate once we lock it in at 80 miles or 81 miles per hour indicated, 80 mile per hour actual. I must say, it's a very different driving style trying to maintain 80, 81 miles per hour than it is to have everyone passing you when you're going 61, 71 miles per hour. Normally the couple mile an hour, even 5, 10 mile an hour difference doesn't really matter, but when you're trying to maintain a constant speed, it's certainly a bit more challenging. And just about to exit here in Winsboro at the halfway point, the turnaround. 73 mile per hour average speed, 27 minutes, 2.07 mile per kilowatt hour. Bit more traffic than I would like. We're at 60% state of charge, so I don't know how 100% I feel about this run. and its validity, but it's at least a basis, and I do feel really good about the 60 and 70 mile per hour runs. Regen here, now up to 2.13 mile per kilowatt hour. Just given the really strong regen on this, and we're turning around here. Might have to run 1 or 2 mile an hour higher just to make up for it and average out the speed a little bit more. Because like I was saying, there's just a bit more traffic than I would like, and I can't say for certain that I didn't get an aero benefit from it, which is a bit unfortunate. And I could just run the 80 mile per hour run again, like tomorrow or something, but it wouldn't be the same conditions, which makes it not really that useful to compare. And now we're getting back on, and we'll see you at the charger. Exiting here from the 70 mile an hour, or sorry, the 80 mile an hour run, we're at 47%. There you can see the speed, miles per kilowatt hour, everything there. So we're gonna pull into station here. I'll show you the numbers, and then we'll actually crunch the numbers and walk through all of the different stats. And we just parked here, so 73 miles per hour, 2.02 miles per kilowatt hour, 32.9 kilowatt hour used. We're at 46% state of charge, and we drove 55 minutes. So crossed over 5,000 miles on this trip as well, so 5,048 miles. So let me get plugged in here. It's starting to get actually kind of dark out. And then I'm going to start putting the numbers into a spreadsheet, crunch all the numbers, and go through them with you. Well, we're back in my car. I've crunched the numbers, and it's a little bit interesting. I was not expecting 60 miles per hour to be quite as beneficial as it is. I knew it would be more efficient, but I didn't think it would be 130% efficient compared to 80 miles per hour, which is actually really surprising. Or that 80 miles per hour would be 76% as efficient as going 60 miles an hour. That 80 miles per hour would be 89.8% as efficient as going 70 miles per hour. And that going 70 miles per hour would be 111% efficient compared to 80 miles per hour. So I would say it is actually worthwhile to be going faster, as I've kind of generally done, whether the math supported it or not, but I'm glad to finally prove it. So going 80 versus 60 is 33% faster, but you're only using 30% more energy. So I would say that's worthwhile as long as you have the fast charging infrastructure along the route. I'll post a spreadsheet with this information in the pinned comment down below, so definitely check that out. But overall, I'm curious, are the results what you guys expected? Are they better or worse? What kind of efficiency tests do you guys want to see next? And I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you generally drive slower or faster on EV road trips? Do you prefer to have a shorter time driving but a slightly longer time charging? Or would you rather drive slower and be more efficient but have to charge less frequently and for shorter time periods? Personally, I would rather be driving a shorter time period at a faster speed and then charge more frequently and maybe slightly longer overall, but have an overall lower trip time. Because for me, that's my end goal, is the shortest time from point A to point B. And however I mix the time between driving and charging, I don't really care, but I think I'd rather generally be sitting. I can be doing other things during that time, whereas with driving, I can't really be doing other things. When I'm sitting, even if the charging time is a little bit longer, I can at least be video editing, taking photos, eating, walking around, whatever the case may be. As much as I like driving, I do like not driving on road trips as well, because it's such a infrequent thing essentially. But if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and there will be plenty more Rivian content to come. Thank you for watching.